Hello and welcome in this new video where we will basically add some thickness to our ropes. Okay, so this is where we stopped last time, basically by creating the main curve and then duplicating it twice, basically to create 4 ropes that will act as basically the main ropes for our bridge. What I want to do is basically, as I mentioned, is to add some thickness to that. And the first part of doing that is basically to somehow tell Blender that, hey, I want these ropes to have some thickness, or let's say to set some radius that Blender will use to convert all of these ropes to a mesh. Here's what I mean. First things first, I'm going to add a node called setCurveRadius. It is this node right here. So just click on it and let's just put it right here. This node by itself, it will not do much, but what it will allow us to do is to control the radius later of our ropes. And what you need to do after that is basically to add another node which will convert all of that to a mesh. It will convert the curve to a usual mesh, a 3D mesh that we used to work with inside of Blender. So to do that, let's look for curve to mesh. It is this bad boy right here, curve to mesh. Let's put it right here. And nothing happened. And you will be like, why? This node is right now supposed to tell basically Blender to convert the curve to a mesh. Why isn't working? And the main reason for that is that we need a profile curve. What I mean by that, for example, what we have in mind is basically, let's say, to have a circle right here, and Blender will use it to create the ropes. But maybe in other cases, I don't know, someone creating a sci-fi scene, someone might want actually a triangle, and someone else might actually maybe want a square to basically make Blender extrude all of these ropes based in. So that's why we need to tell Blender the profile curve, which is the form or the shape of the profile, whether it will be a circle, whether it will be a triangle, or actually any shape. And in our case, we want Blender to create a circle because the ropes are cylindrical. So to do that, let's look for curve circle. Let's just put it right here. And just to know what does this thing look like, if I just plug it temporarily in the geometry, this is basically just a very simple circle, which we will use to control the radius, or let's say the profile curve. So I'm just going to get back to this bad boy and I'm going to plug the curve to the profile curve, and this is what will happen. Basically, Blender right now is using that circle to create the profile of the ropes. But right now, the circle is really huge. Like, we do have ropes with a radius of 1 meter, which is really huge. We don't want that. We want smaller circle. And the easiest way to change that is basically by dragging this number a little bit down. Let's say to something like 0.04. And you will have these ropes that look something like this. And also, actually, I'm thinking of reducing the resolution of all of that because 32 is a little bit overkill, and at the end of the day, they are really small. So that's why I'm going to lower this number to 5. So let's set this to 5. So yeah, by doing this, we created, or actually we added some thickness to our rope. And right now, I want to mention one thing. Later on, we will probably add some other ropes like this, basically that will hold all of these bridge together. And all of these ropes will use also the same radius value, which is 0.04 meter. But if you think about it in a realistic way, what if we want to change later the radius? And basically, we will have plenty of node. Do we need basically to go to each radius and change it by itself? That will take a lot of time. That's why we need to figure out a way to basically change one value, and that radius will be applied to the entire node tree. And the easiest example of that is basically to just add, for example, another node called value, which is the simplest node inside of Blender. It is basically, you put a value and it will output that value. So in a logical way, if we do, for example, 0.04 and we plug it right here to the radius, we will have the same exact result. And the really nice thing is that maybe in the future we added another circle to control, for example, another rope. It will be as easy as just hooking it to the radius, and I will be able to change the thickness of all of the ropes all at once just by basically changing this value right here. So that's the benefit of this approach. And that's why I'm going to use this value node to drive the thickness of all the ropes I do have. And also I'm going to delete this one. And right now I'm going to do another thing, but it is just for the sake of making everything organized. Basically, later on when we will have a really huge node tree, probably we will connect this value node to a lot of other nodes. So it will be a mess basically having like 5 or 6 nodes basically basically all of them connected to this one, and probably this node will be right here. So basically you will have lines all over your node tree, and it will be really a mess to try to organize them. That's why we need another approach, which is basically to not have all of these mess of links between nodes. And the easiest way to do such thing is basically, what if we connect to each curve circle a value, basically by doing this. Let's say something like this. But here's the problem. Yes, right now it will be neat because you will not have a lot of lines right here. But when I will change this one, this will not change. If just there is a way to basically, when I change this, I will also change this. And unfortunately, Blender doesn't have such a built-in feature to do such thing, but there is a really simple way to achieve this result. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select this value node, and I'm going to hit Ctrl J to put it inside of a group. So basically this group right now will only have this value node, and basically it is just outputting that value. I'm going to hit Tab to exit from this view and get back to my normal view, and I'm going to call this group, for example, rope radius. And right now, wherever I'm going to use this rope radius, all of them will use the same value that I'm going to put right here. So this will be really good. So in our case, if I do have other curve circle, I'm just going to delete these bad boys. I'm just going to hit Shift D, and I'm going to hit Shift D again and connect it. And basically right now, if I want to change the radius or the rope radius, all I have to do is basically to just enter to this group by hitting Tab, change the value I want to change right here, and all of these settings will be applied to all the ropes because all of them are using the same group. So this is a really handy feature, and I'm just going to hit Tab to get back here, and let's do 0.04, which is the value we're going to use. And also I'm going to delete both of these two groups because I don't need them. And by the way, you will always find this group basically by going to Add Group, and you will have here your rope radius. And yeah, by doing this, we just created the element that will drive the thickness for our ropes. So yeah, let's just do a little bit of organizing. Maybe let's also put this down. And yeah, I will see you in the next video, everyone, where we will build a procedural system that will control the height and the width of this bridge. So yeah, see you there.